you? Good. I was reading your press material, and it says in there that you hope that this movie shows some growth as a filmmaker from earlier ones. How so? What do you think the growth there is?
That's a good question. I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah?
Actually, yeah, and especially because I've lost like 30 pounds in the last 3 months, so I'm actually growing the other way. I think every filmmaker hopes that when they make a movie that they've learned something from the last movies and can make a better movie and keep making a better movie, and of course I'm always trying to do that.
Is it less political in that sense, or some talk about that, less pointed?
It's less partisan. It's not Democrat or Republican because illness knows no political stripe. It doesn't care if you're a Democrat or Republican when you get sick, and so I'm hoping that there's some common ground here that people of all political stripes can come together on and realize that we need to take care of this problem, and we shouldn't make it a political problem. We should make it a human right problem.
Michael, why did you build this film as a comedy and then put it out there like that, if you're trying to get across a serious message about healthcare problems?
Well, traditionally that's what I've done. I make satires and comedies in order to deal with serious issues, and in the hopes that people will think about them. And I think humor is actually a very pointed and sometimes dangerous way to accomplish the things that I'm trying to say.
You said that Republicans, since the 9/11 movie, have come up to you and sort of said, well, you had a point. I remember at the GOP National Convention when you had to be escorted out when they started booing and hooting. Do you really think they've come around, in a sense, sort of the populace of Republicans now think you were right about that Fahrenheit 9/11?
Well, clearly 20% of the people who voted for Mr. Bush have already flipped. 70% of the people of this country now no longer support him. 70% of the people of this country no longer support this war. So I'm in the mainstream majority at this point, and the right wing is withering away.
And you felt you weren't when the movie was made in the mainstream?
Well, I think then the country was like a 50-50 country,
yeah,
pretty much, and now it's not that. It's changed, and I agree with where the majority is at, and the majority agrees with me.
Why Cuba?
Well, I went to Guantanamo Bay, actually, which is a piece of Cuban soil that we rent from them. And I went there because I wanted to take these 9/11 rescue workers who were not getting medical care here in the United States down to our naval base where we give free universal health care to the Al-Qaeda detainees. And I thought, well, if that free universal health care is good enough for the people that we accuse of plotting 9/11, it's good enough for the people who ran down there to save people's lives.
Do you know what the status is of that so-called investigation?
It's not a so-called investigation. It's a real investigation. They're coming after me, and I've hired lawyers, and I'm going to go after them. I'm the wrong guy to go after. I don't know why they'd want to pick a fight with me. It's kind of not going to end up very good for them.
So where does that stand now?
Well, I've responded to their inquiry, and I've basically said I'm not cooperating with you because no laws were broken. You're using a government agency for political harassment, and I don't think the people appreciate that.
Do you have a candidate in this presidential election yet?
No, I'm not endorsing any candidates yet. Well, for now, I'm hoping that other people will throw their hat in the ring and get involved in this election process, including Al Gore.
So, Michael, what's next for you?
I'm not talking about my next film. I've already started working on it, and it's so dangerous. I'm going to just not say anything at this point.
You'd have to kill us if you told us.
Well, I wouldn't kill you, but I'd actually have to give you jobs on the movie, so that you wouldn't say anything to anybody. Are you looking for jobs? I have really good health care.
I just have one other question for you. How do you fight that whole, the critics saying it's just another Michael Moore film? So how do you get your message taken
That's
seriously?
Good news.
How do you, people that say it's propaganda, it's not real, it's not a real documentary?
Well, the propaganda that exists is called the nightly news. We were propagandized into this war because our mainstream media did not do the job it was supposed to do. Ask the hard questions, demand the answers. If the mainstream media had done that, maybe we wouldn't be in this war. I think the mainstream media is complicit in this war. And my films exist as an antidote to the propaganda that's put out by the administration and by the mainstream media.
And this time the war is against healthcare.
And the war, yes, the war, there's a war on the American people when it comes to health care. Because we allow these pharmaceutical companies, these health insurance companies, to put profits over people, and that has to stop.
Anything else?
Nope.
Thank you.
Thank you. Time to get some popcorn.
Thank you very much, SiCKO. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, it's been 3 years since I made Fahrenheit 9/11, and 3 years, almost 3 years, since we were here at the Key Arena in Seattle during our big tour before the election. Trying to get out the youth vote, which ended up actually being one of the best things about the election, is that young people voted in record numbers, more so than any time before. And it ended up being the only age group, partisan, because sickness and illness knows no political stripe, and everyone is a potential victim of our healthcare system and the greed that fuels it. And it's my sincere hope to reach across the great divide as this film comes out that we have in this country, and ask our fellow Americans who may have more conservative politics than mine, or some of you in here, to say, can't we find some common ground on issues like this, so that we can take care of all Americans regardless of who they are or what they believe in. So I'm very honored to be here in Seattle tonight. We have two groups here who helped to sponsor this screening, the Physicians for a National Health Plan. Thank you very much. And Healthcare for All here in the state of Washington. Thank you very much. You and I belong. Oh, lucky you! Okay, I know you got it good out here. Okay, it's a little bit better. I understand. You're tucked away in the corner up here. The rest of the country isn't quite sure what you're doing. Nobody really wants to ask, and nobody can find a direct flight to here anyway. So, and you like it that way, don't you? Yeah. The whole concept of healthcare wouldn't have even been brought up had it not been for labor fighting for this years ago. And we need to continue that fight and continue the leadership that's necessary, not just for union members, but for all Americans. And I think if we take the lead in this, I got to tell you, in the 14 years since the health industry shot down Hillary's plan and made every politician afraid to bring this up again. And the hospital corporations have done the organizing for us. They have turned the American people against this greed machine. Every family has a story to tell. Everybody knows a neighbor, a friend, a coworker who's gone through some debilitating experience that had they lived just 2 hours north of here, they would not have to go through it. And that, to me, is a crime. And so it's my sincere hope, as I said, talk to some Canadians out front there, that we Americans become more Canadian-like. Not only... do we have Canadians here in the audience tonight? Yeah, don't be afraid. Any Michiganders here? Yes, the diaspora is everywhere. I know how to say it. But no, we do. I personally, I've said this many times. Appreciate the example that Canadians set, whether when it comes to issues like healthcare or invading other countries, or in the case of the Canadians, not invading other countries unless they're coming down here to take our parking spaces. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed the film tonight, and if you'd like, I can stick around and do a Q&A afterwards, if you'd like to do that. Okay? So we'll run all the credits, and at the end of the credits, I'll come up here and I'll take your questions or comments, and I'd be very curious to see what you think. of this film. 1.5 years of my life and my crew here we put into this, and it's a very special film for us, and we're hoping that it contributes something when it opens on June 29th to making this a better country. So thank you very much for being here, and enjoy the movie!